Welcome to Successful Living with Bill Napick. Every week we talk about success and everything that goes along with it. You'll learn the principles of success, how to achieve success, and learn to overcome challenges that may be getting in the way of success in your life. You'll hear from Bill Napick, a radio personality and business development expert, along with insight from special guests. If you're ready to find your path to success or take the success you're enjoying to the next level, stay tuned. Successful Living with Bill Napick is on right now.
And welcome to the show, Successful Living with Bill Napick. And today, Successful Living with Ali Gilan. He is the Vice President of American Property Tax Service, a very successful entrepreneur. We're going to learn a lot about taxes, about success with Ali. Welcome to the show.
Good morning.
It's good to see you. And let's tell people, first of all, what you do, Ali, as far as your company and how that relates to property taxes and things that people should know a little bit about.
Okay, well, we're a property tax consulting firm. We've been in business for over 30 years now, and we handle residential, commercial, and industrial properties. And what we do is basically appeal property taxes on behalf of the property owner or owners and keep them in line with market value, so they pay their fair share in property taxes, not a penny over.
And that's so important because we do want to pay our fair share. We benefit from the taxes paid, certainly if they're used right. That's a whole other subject. However, we don't want to pay more than we need to. So right up front, let's give people a few tips as far as being successful. We talk about that on the show. And for people to be successful, we have to manage our money properly. And when we think about our home, if we're homeowners, a lot of our money, especially at the end of the year, goes to property taxes. So we want to make sure that it is correct. So let's tell people, give them a few ideas of how they can make sure they're not paying too much and some of the things they can do themselves to keep their property tax in check.
Well, most of I would say 20% of the population only knows how to reduce their property taxes or even knows about property taxes. The other 80% of the population, well, they just write a check every month, drop it in the mail, and it goes to the taxing authorities, and they're done with it. They don't even think twice about, hey, there's a good portion of this money that could be back in their own pocket, and that's where we come in.
And the other thing that's a consideration is, let's say, and people have different homes as far as size, style, and all those things, but if we take just one street, and let's say the homes are similar square footage, sometimes we find that we may be paying more than someone with an equally finished out home and remodeled and that sort of thing. We may be paying more than, say, the person next door. So how do we watch out for that as well?
Okay, well, that's a great point you mentioned. Well, that's called unequal taxation. And a lot of people, they live on the same streets, but they have no idea what's going on inside somebody else's home if they've had an extensive remodel, a total remodel, a partial remodel. Anytime you do a remodel of any sort, you have to take out a permit. And the county appraisal district gets the permit and sees the approximate value of work being done. And then they can assess whether it's for example, an extensive remodel, a total remodel, or a partial remodel. With that being said, they assign a certain value to that. So if you're trying to compare your house to my house and we're both on the same street, well, I didn't know that you had a 2014 total remodel on the inside. Sticks and bricks are still the same on the outside, but on the inside, it's a totally new home. So I'm trying to compare myself to you or your home, and I'm not going to get anywhere. We need to have the right facts about the houses, and that's where we come in. We do a little bit more extensive research and find out different ways where we can get your house to the lowest market value possible so the tax burden on you is as low as possible.
So let's say a starting point would be for us to see where we are as far as we would call it the appraised value. Is it called appraised market value, if I recall?
Appraised value is what you're going to be taxed on. Market value is what your house would sell for on the open market. So it would be market value is where the hearing starts at if you wanted to have a hearing for your home.
So we say market value and appraised value, right?
Correct.
So for example, a starting point would be, I would think, is to find out what those numbers are right there. And is it correct to go to hcad.org
to
find that information, hcad.org?
That is their website, and also FBCAD, fortbendcad.org, if you're in the Fort Bend County area, which a lot of people are as well. And that's another appraisal district that's You can get online and look at your neighbors' houses, information, square footage, grade, condition, all that stuff.
There's so much information on that. So that is, I would think, is a great exercise. In fact, I do that myself, but I forget to look at what's going on my street. I look at my own taxing and how it's appraised and so forth, but I don't see or think to go and look at the other ones, and I'm going to now do that. So that might be step number one. What other ways do we know that we're going to be online or on track as far as not paying too much? What else should we consider?
Well, the first kicker is in property taxes to get your residential homestead exemption. You need to have that. And if you don't have that, it's a simple form you fill out online and turn it into the appraisal district. Your driver's license must match the address on that form. Now, that's a pretty healthy reduction as far as taxes. About 20 to 22%, depending on the jurisdiction. And
it's huge.
Yeah, it's a big difference. When you're talking $1 million house, every $1 million is about a $25,000 check you have to write. So imagine getting 20% of that back.
I like that part.
You're in the green already.
Okay, now you did say something that the driver's license must match.
Your license is up to date. All you do is fill out the form with the pertinent information, driver's license number or social security number. If you are married, your spouse's information has to be there as well. If you are community property, well, you don't have to worry about, the extra details of the form. If it's a 50-50 split, everyone's keeping their different last names and so forth, that has to be written on these forms. And they're pretty easy to fill out. In fact, there's a couple of YouTube videos that shows you exactly how to do it.
So let's talk to people like myself. In fact, I closed on a home in September, but anybody that purchased a home, let's say in 2017, we're approaching 2018 pretty soon. So anybody that's purchased a home in 2017, when should they fill out this home exemption form? And it's really just one page.
Well, yes, it's 3 pages.
Oh, okay.
It used to be a one pager. Now it's 3 pages. There's a lot of different exemptions on there, like the over 65, the veterans exemption, the disability exemption, the surviving spouse exemption. There's so many different exemptions that you can qualify for. Now, if you're over 65 and you're listening to this program, you will get a healthy reduction on your property taxes.
Bigger than 20%?
A lot richer than 20%. I'll give you an example. I think the appraisal district gives a $161,000 exemption for Harris County. So what does that mean? That means if you live in Harris County and your home is worth $150,000, you pay 0 taxes to Harris County. And your tax for ISD, your tax rate is frozen. You pay your school tax. So if you own a $1 million home, they'll take $161,000 off of that and an additional 20%. So it's a very rich exemption for homestead, for veterans, for people with disabilities. This is a very, very good exemption to look into, and it's retroactive. You can get the prior years back if you were qualified to have it and you never had it. You can get that money back refunded to you.
There are so many nuances to taxes, and you do this all year long. And of course, the first thing I'm thinking, how do you know so much about it? Because that's what you do all the time, and you peel the onion, you peel the layers away, and you know stuff that we're too busy trying to earn money to do as we're in other professions. However, let's go back to this scenario. Let's hit on that 65-year-old person. Let's say someone here in 2017 is 64. However, let's just say they turned 65 in 2018. What should they do? And let's say they already have the homestead exemption in place. What should they do next year, and when should they do it?
Well, as soon as you turn 65, you should turn in that form or have a tax professional do it for you just to make sure you've covered all the bases.
And what's that form called?
It's still the same residential homestead exemption form, but you're turning it in now. The district doesn't always, they're very busy. They don't always pick up on your driver's license and say, oh, this person just turned 65. Let's give them over 65 exemption. Yeah, they're not going to do that. So you need to stay on top of it. So if you don't have a homestead exemption, get one. If you're over 65, get on it.
So there you go. So that's good news for people. I mean, we all think about getting older, and sometimes not a great thing, but there are some presents that await us as we hit certain milestones in life. So that's good. Someone's has the homestead exemption. They're saving money. They're 64 now. They're going to turn 65, so they'll get some extra benefit next year. That's super awesome. Let's talk about the veterans. You mentioned them. What's in store for them, or let's say a veteran owns a home and they have the homestead exemption. Is there anything else that they can do?
It is the exact same exemption. This is an exemption for disabled veterans. Now, if it's the exact same exemption as an over 65. So if you're 35 years old and you're a disabled vet, you qualify for this right off of the bat. So you're 35 getting over 65 exemption, which is stellar. It really helps. And you have to be able to prove that, of course. There's certain documentation you have to turn in to apply for that.
That is awesome. So what other things should we do? So now we know we take a look of where we're at as far as our taxes. We make sure that we have the homestead exemption in place. And correct me if I'm wrong, but anytime we bought a home, let's say it was even September of 2017, fill out that homestead exemption form, get it in the mail. And now, what else should we do?
So basically, if you're going to file for your homestead and you just bought your house in 2017, you will get it from 2018 and forward. And another beautiful thing that the homestead exemption does for you, it caps the value of your property. So if your market value starts jumping astronomically, well, it'll only go up by 10%.
So it's kind of a safeguard that's in place. Let's say someone buys a home, and let's use this as a round number. It's appraised at $350,000, and the person bought the home for $300,000.
Correct.
What should they do?
Well, they bought the home for $300,000. The best representative for the house is you yourself, the homeowner. You know more about this house than I will ever know. In fact, you have the closing statement, which is what the appraisal district will accept. And that's a golden ticket right there to get your taxes reduced substantially. The district doesn't know what you bought your house for. In some instances, they do when they scrape HAR for all that data, but they're not getting all of it all the time.
And they're dealing with millions of homes.
Yeah, they're dealing with a system called mass appraisal.
That's unbelievable.
Yeah, so they're doing their best, but they need a little bit of assistance. If you can provide them with any kind of evidence, the golden ticket, as I call it, of evidence is the closing statement.
That's worth its weight in gold, no doubt about that. So the other thing I would think is what other websites should people know about? We've told them about hcad.org. And then FB.
FB stands for Fort Bend, cad.org
So
if you're in the Fort Bend. And if you Google Galveston County, Brazoria County, those CADs will pop up too. But the state comptroller's office is the one you want to go to get the homestead exemption form. Now, the other districts also have it on their website. However, the comptroller form is the end all. So that's the actual form that's in the tax code that has to be accepted. So I would go to the state comptroller's office. I don't have that website with me offhand, but I can definitely include it in the link.
So what else? Let's say we want to protest our taxes, or what can we do? Now we can go to services or companies that do that for us, but is there something we can do by ourselves?
Yes, absolutely, and I really recommend it. Now, if it's a commercial industrial property or complex property, I can definitely help you with that. As far as a residential property is concerned, there's no better representative for the property than the property owner themselves, okay? So you know about that squeaking door. You know that other door, you have to kind of nudge it to get it to fit properly. You may have some foundation troubles. You may have a leak in your roof. I don't know about these things in your house unless you tell me, send me pictures, estimates, so on and so forth. Again, what I just mentioned are all acceptable pieces of evidence that the districts will accept.
And isn't there a website? I forget what it's called. I've talked to you before about it.
That's right.
What's it called?
There's a website called Jube Ally, JUB.
All right, there we go.
ALLY.com. Now, this is an amazing website. Again, it's jubeally.com, JUBALLY.com. Now, this website is amazing. It's free. You put your address in there, and it tells you, hey, you've got a great chance of getting a reduction based on our sales analysis and our unequal analysis. So for the person that doesn't want to go out and do their own research, this will do the research for you, and it'll tell you for free either if you qualify for a reduction or not.
That's amazing.
So if you do qualify for a reduction, you pay $75, and it'll give you a 10-page report that the district, in my line of work, I've turned it in all the time. I've been 100% successful with it.
And we are talking with Ali Gilan. He's the Vice President of American Property Tax Service. in Stafford, Texas. Ali, let's tell people also, you're doing so many things. We're talking about taxes. We know there's so many complications, but as a successful individual, it's not easy. First of all, let's tell people what gets you excited about being in the world of taxes, because for a lot of us, it's kind of dry and something that is not interesting. However, we need professionals like you. What gets you turned on about doing what you're doing?
Well, a lot of people like to call me a superhero. I think
you are.
I think I've been called that before on this show.
That's right.
I'm not really trying to take any money away from the jurisdictions. I just want people to be taxed fairly for their homes, businesses, and investments. Now, what turns me on is people putting money back into people's pockets where they need it. A lot of people are hurting from different situations, from being in debt, or Ike or Harvey, or any of these substantial things that have happened to Houston over the past few years. People need that money. They need access to that money, and nothing gets me going more than, hey, you got a great result on your hearing. Here's the money you just saved. Sometimes it goes below last year, so this is money that they were never looking forward to, but all of a sudden just showed up.
No doubt. People can reach you. They can look you up at American Property Tax Service. And let's tell people the other thing in life, there's so many things that we need to do, whatever our profession is, but there's a balance in life. And we have family and children and everyone has a different scenario. How do you keep, in your line of work, you have to keep up with changes that are demanding, and they have to be precise. There's no room for mistakes. And then you also have to have a little bit of fun, family time, all those things. How do you manage a balance in life and stay steady to be the superhero that you are?
I'll give you a one-liner. Get yourself a good life partner. Get yourself a good woman, a good man, whoever's going to stick by you through thick and thin. I swear I would not be where I'm at today without the organizational skills of my wife and the things we put together as a team, plan vacations. There's a lot of things that go into making a successful person. You need that balance. You can't work for a living or live to work. You've got to be able to separate the two. Work, come home, don't bring it home.
There has to be that separation because it is a category. However, it's not so easy to do sometimes. And perhaps your wife may be listening to the show. We may want to say hi to her.
Yeah, she's probably listening.
No doubt about it. Well, in addition, let's tell people, as you have children, they're going to grow up. What advice do you give people, let's say in the teenage, when your children become teenagers, or if you were to talk to a teen that's a friend or someone in college, what kind of success advice would you give them, and things that you've learned in your years of doing this?
Well, I learned everything from a Navy SEAL, and we were talking earlier off air about routine. Routine is the best thing you can do, whether it's just fixing your bed, brushing your teeth, taking a shower, whatever it is, get those things done every day. The rest of the day will roll very, very much smoothly. If you forget to do one of these things here and there, it becomes another habit, which is not a good habit. So for me, every morning, I have a set routine I have to do, whether it's waking the kids up, putting their clothes on, feeding them, making them breakfast, getting their lunch ready, backpacks on, jackets on, shoes. If I miss one of these, I feel an emptiness inside me, and I'll stumble through the day. But if I hit all these, then I'm going to have a really smooth day. I'm going to be able to be focused in my mind. I'm going to have clarity, and I can focus on taking care of my clients.
And that's so important. It's funny. I was at an event just the other day and sat next to a realtor who said that they did so much, I forget the percentage, but they did so much more business this past year than the previous. And I said, well, what was the key to doing that? What did you do to be more successful? She said it was very simply consistency, kind of like what you're saying, having that routine, systems and procedures. Now, when things go wrong or challenges appear, what do you deploy to do that? What mindset or what?
Well, that's a really tough question to answer. Every situation, especially bad ones, they have different recourses you can take to solve the problem. For example, if we were talking again off air about an airplane pilot, when the plane is lost an engine or something catastrophic has happened, the pilots, if you're thinking they're scrambling for parachutes, they're not. And scrambling for parachutes is the easy way out of any argument. You don't want to just close your mouth and walk off and sleep angry with each other. What you want to do, if you want a successful relationship, do what the pilots do. Work the problem. Because that's what they're doing in the cockpit. They have a certain set of procedures that they're following to make sure that they can make this airplane land safely with all of its passengers alive.
Systems and procedures. We're talking with Ali Gilan, Vice President of American Property Tax Service. Ali, if people want to reach out to you, what should they do?
Well, you can give me a call at 281-240-0101.
One more time.
Again, it's 281-240-0101.
In just a quick word, let's say 2018. Here it comes. Is there anything people should know as far as taxes, especially as far as their home goes? Any changes coming up that are going to happen that you know about?
Well, as it relates, to Hurricane Harvey, there's different jurisdictions that are going to be asking the district to reappraise their homes based on the catastrophic damage that's happened. Other than that, I would stay on top of it. The district only cares about your home as of January 1st of 2018. What condition was your home in at that moment?
Very good. Ladies and gentlemen, Ali Gilan, Vice President of American Property Tax Service. Thank you for being on the show, Ali.
Thank you again for having me.
And you've been listening to Successful Living with Bill Napick and today, Ali Gilan. Thank you so much for listening. We'll see you next week. And go to my new website, radiobill.net. That's the gateway to all the YouTube videos that we have about on this show and also Real Estate Matters with Stuart Title. It's coming up today at 1 o'clock. Until next time, thanks for listening. radiobill.net.